Okay, good morning. We're continuing Hilchos Tzedakah. We're in the end of Reish Nun Vav. So we're about to start Seif Vav, the last Seif. But let's just go back to the very last line, the Ramah, in the end of Hey. In the Siman, we learned that for different things, for donating towards Tzedakah, there's different time periods. Whether you're living there, if you move in temporarily, you didn't move in there for good yet, you didn't decide, you're checking it out, you're there for a month or 3, whatever it is, or 9. So, but the Ramah concludes, not according to the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch paskins that we go by the original times in Chazal, whether it's a month or 3 or 9 or whatever it is, 6. The Ramah, based on one of the Rishonim, based on the Smak and the Kobos, he adds, the Ramah disagrees with the Shulchan Aruch, and he says, no, nowadays, it's all for everything. It's once you live there for 30 days, even if you're testing the waters, you're not sure if you're going to stay. Once you go past 30 days, you're chayiv, and all the different tzedakahs the same. The Mishnah Berurah paskins like that. Also in Taf Chaf Tet by Kimcha de Pischa by Pesach, the Ramah says actually for Kimcha de Pischa it's 12 months. It's the same Ramah. There he says 12 months. Here he says 30 days. So I'm not sure why it's different, but the Mishnah Berurah there says the Achronim Paskin like this Ramah, that for everything, including Kimcha de Pischa, it's 30 days. So maybe the Ramah felt it was different for Kimcha de Pischa, I don't know. And just to point out, 2 quick things. Number one is the Aruch Shulchan has a chiddush. He paskins, for him, he probably doesn't think it's a chiddush. For me, it is. He holds that all these things about 30 days and 3 months and whatever, he says, you actually, if you're traveling for business and you're leaving your family behind, then even if you're there for 30 days, you're not part of the city for these chiyuvim of tzedakah, because you go after where your family is. Right, but according to the pshat, the simple reading, according to everyone else, even if you scream, I'm moving, I'm going back to where I came from, I'm just here for 2 months or a month, you're already chayav according to the Ramah. So, I think he thinks everyone agrees with him, and it could be they do. They didn't say it. So anyway, so that's the Aruch HaShulchan. And I just want to also point out, there's a somewhat similar topic in Hilchos Shutfim in Choshen Mishpat, Kuf Samech Gimel. So there, everyone holds it's 12 months. Here it's 30 days, or whatever, 3 months, or whatever the counting is, according to the Shulchan Aruch. There, everyone says it's 12 months, but it's 2 different things. In Choshen Mishpat, it's about Shutfim, your partners in the land. So there it's talking about in order to pay in for the roads, to fix things that belong to the tzibur for the city, or a Beit Knesset, or the Sefer Torah for the Beit Knesset. So for those inyanim, it's 12 months, but for tzedakah, it's 30 days or whatever the Shulchan Aruch says. So it's a little bit different topic. I'll just point that out. Okay, let's go to Vav. Mi shahalach bischara. A person travels for business. So normally, what do we say? If you're there for business, certainly everyone says, if you're there for business less than 30 days, you're not obligated to chip in. It's not mandatory to chip in like everyone else to the city, the pot for the aniyim, whatever is okay. Upasku alav anshe ha'ir shahalach sham. That's tzedakah. Now, when he's in there, he went there for business. He's there for, let's say, a week. Whatever. He's there for a day. He's there for a week. And the Anshe Ha'ir, they see him and they say, you have to give tzedakah towards whatever it is, and whatever the tzedakah they're raising for. So there is some discussion if it was against the din or not, but it seems to be according to the Shach and the Aruch HaShulchan, we're not talking about regular tzedakah. We're normal circumstances where they feel like, they see you, so they're going to just tell you, now you have to pay for our needs. It's when there's something special going on. something that's not normal for anybody. It's not a regular city matter. There's like all of a sudden, there's a drought, there's Pidyon Shvuyim, maybe. Their example is, so we said a drought, or there's wild animals, or maybe a plague, something serious. Maybe they're surrounded by an enemy army, and so they're davening, and so they want to give tzedakah so that they get saved. So he's there right now. This is not a regular, normal city matter. So certainly that's at least what we're talking about. So it was done kehogen correctly. They passed, and now he has to chip in like everybody else. They all need a Yeshua. Everyone needs to be saved. So of course he has to give. He should give. He has to give. Okay. We're going to see, you'll understand even more as we keep reading. And the Taz explains because he is Nigrar, he's an individual. Individuals, they don't have their own identity so much. So he's part of this group, this part of the city for this sa'ar, this difficult situation. And he gets included among them. And so he's chayav to pay. V'im hayu rabin. But let's say it was a group of businessmen, they come, or travelers, whatever, they come together, tourists, whatever, they come as a group. And how much is this group? It's not clear, but the Meiri says, some say it's 10 people's enough to be the Arabim. The Radbaz says 3 people's enough to be Arabim for this. Okay, it's from the Gemara to the Gemara. It's a little bit unclear, but okay. Upasku aleim tzedakah. And then, so this group of people show up. You have this, this red tour bus drive downtown, and everyone knows. They say, okay, you guys all have to all pay with us for this issue, this tzara that's going on. And they say everyone has to pay X amount. So as they get off the bus, everyone has to give. So it just means when the city comes to them and says you have to pay, so these are Arabim. So they still have to pay, not because they're part of the tzibur. Since they're coming as a group, they still hold their own status. They go, oh, this is the tour from this city or the tour from that country. And they have, these are the foreigners or whatever it is. So they have their own shame, their own name, and they're not nigrar, they're not, they don't follow after the city. So therefore, they don't have to pay. However, they do initially have to pay because of chashad. We don't want people to see that the tzibur, I don't know, whoever is appointed, walks over to them and gives them, a ticket or give them a kanas. That's not a kanas, but give them some kind of a note or make an announcement. You have to pay X amount. So we don't want people to see them get this that they have to pay and they don't pay, because then people are going to see what's going on. They're going to say, this guy, he never pays tzedakah, or he's a no good person. He doesn't chip in like everybody else, and he doesn't follow the rules. So people are going to talk about him or about these people, and we don't want that. So they have to pay only because of chashad. But then when they leave the city, and say they finish their trip after a week or two, when they go back home, before they get on the plane, they go back to the Gabbai Tzedakah, and they say, you realize that you were just, visiting, we weren't here. And he goes, yeah, whatever. But then he has to pay back the money right away. Right away, he must give it back to them. Doesn't belong to the city. And we only made him pay because of chashad. But now he's going to pay it back. Okay, how this happens, I don't know, but that's the case, that's the halacha. Fine, let's keep reading. Haga. Now, this is because of chashad you have to pay. So when they go back to their city, they bring their money with them and give it to their own city, because it belongs to them. Wait a second. Yeah. V'davka b'tzedakah shelo hayu notnim ilu nisharu be'iran. This is because if they wouldn't have given it to the city, they would have given it to their own city if they would have stayed in their own city. Ulachein ika chashada. And therefore it'll be a chashad if they don't give it. Aval tzedakah sha'af be'iran hayu notnim ein tzrichen litain klal devada yitnua be'iran. If it's a tzedakah, that if they would have given in their own city, then they don't have to give it at all to these gabayim, because for sure they're going to give. So I think this is referring to the regular tzedakah that they normally give for the city. Here, well, I'll just point out over here. The post can point out, right? So if a person goes to another city, and he, let's say, is there, the example is, let's say you go there for Yiskar, you go for a holiday. So just because a person, says he's going to make a pledge, unless you say where you're making it to, you don't say who you're giving the money to, then if you just make a pledge, you can keep that money and give it to the city. You're back home. You don't have to, just because you make a pledge, again, obviously it depends if you say who you're giving it to. But if you don't say you're giving it to that new visiting city, when you go back home, you can give that money to your own city. However, again, this is pretty obvious. What if you buy an aliyah in a visiting city? So obviously, you bought that aliyah that belongs to that morning, to that shul. So for sure, that's like stipulating you're going to pay to them. So obviously, if you buy an aliyah, you can't say afterwards, by the way, I'm taking the money and giving it to my own shul back home. That's completely not okay. Furthermore, they're going to lose. You're also causing them hezek, because they're selling aliyahs for their shul, and now they would have sold it to someone else. So for sure, there's no question one is not allowed to do that. By the way, I just want to go back 1 second. Let me finish this reading, and I'll go back for 1 sec. V'davka, where are we? Where it says that Yud Gimel Shach mi sheyesh lo maot achirim lamachatzis schar or bederech acher. So a person has someone else's money. You're traveling and using someone else's money to make money. You're a partner, let's say. You're working for him, and you're going to bederech acher v'notni maser min harevach. It just means whatever you are. Let's say you take someone's money. You're doing all the work, so you're going to pay him, let's say 10% or whatever profit belongs to him. In other words, you're holding your money and someone else's money. You're making money out of it, and now there's a profit for you and that other person. But right now, all the profit's in your hand. You owe it to him. You're going to go back and you're going to pay him his share. Can you pay tzedakah? Can you take he's going to pay, let's say, he's going to pay 10 or 20% tzedakah from that money. Can you take that and give it to whoever you want? Or you have to give it to him back and he decides what he does with it. So it's obvious, everyone's nodding their head. You're not allowed to give away his tzedakah money to who you want. That's his tova sana, that's his prerogative. It's his choice to give who he wants to give to. Unless there's a takana in a city and you're working in that city, and you're not allowed to work in that city unless you pay a certain amount of the profits to that city, so then that's another story. Then you have no choice. You have to give to that city. This goes back to where we were reading before, that you have a group of people traveling. And so we said if it's one person and there's a tsara in the city and they make everyone pay tzedakah. So if you're a single guy, you have to give them the money and it's theirs, right? For whatever tzedakah they want to use it towards. If you're a group, we said they give it back to you when you leave, right? Right before you leave, they give it back to you. But v'im yesham chaver ir, yitenu lechaver ir, v'hu mechalka kafi mashi yir elo. So the halacha in the Gemara there, so Brisa continues, and it says, but if you give it to a Talmud Chacham who's in charge of the tzedakah, if the Gabei tzedakah is a Talmud Chacham, so then when the Rabbim give it to him, they don't take the money back when they leave. So what's that talking about? Not so clear. So it could be we're talking about a Talmud Chacham who is not only in charge of giving tzedakah to his city, but he's also in charge of your city or other places. It's like he has a network. So that could be why you don't take it back. It could be because, and different Mefarshim say it could be because he was a Talmud Chacham, you weren't makbid. You're like, oh, you're a Talmud, you get like, wow, you got it's a big Talmud Chacham. Not that you get nervous, but you want him to, you trust what he's going to do with the money. So, and right, you want to get a bracha by helping the Talmud Chacham give out tzedakah to who he thinks is needed. So the assumption is, if it's a rabbin giving it to this big Talmud Chacham, that they had in mind to let him keep it and give to wherever he needs. The third shot that I saw, I think from the Aruch Shulchan, is it's inappropriate for people to ask money back from a Talmud Chacham. But the Talmud Chacham knows that it belongs to them. So the Talmud, you don't ask for it back, the Talmud Chacham is going to send it back. He knows he'll take care of it on his own, and you don't, but anyway, so that's that. And I just wanted to point out, when we said 30 days, back on the previous thing, if you're, when you're visiting or moving into a city, so the Ramah says 30 days. What's the source of that Ramah? I don't think I said. So it's because the Beis Yosef quotes the Smak and Kolbo where it says, Mirov HaGalios. It just says, after being in Galus for so long, that became the minhag. So how did that become the minhag? So the Aruch HaShulchan explains, because every yishuv was very weak when it's because people keep moving. Rov HaGalim means people keep moving. So to start an established city takes time. And if no one's paying tzedakah until you have an established city, no one's ever going to pay. Like there's, you don't have so many. It's because, I don't know if it's, whatever, however you want to understand it. But often you have starting out cities and you're not going to have enough tzedakah. People are always moving. So transient communities, whatever. So that's, anyway, so that's his explanation into the Beis Yosef, or really the Smak who says it. Maybe it was just hard to keep track. People were transient. They needed more money. Whatever the issue is, that just it's hard to know who you don't have established cities. Who's moving in? How long are they there for? So it just became easier to have it 30 days. But whatever, that became the minhag, and therefore the minhag is koveya, what the halacha was. Okay, let's go to Reish Nun Zayin. Seder Giviyat Tzedakah v'shelo le'achra. Okay, collecting the tzedakah. So let's see. Aleph. Gabay tzedakah. Einam rashayim lifrosh zeh mizeh bashuk ela kedei hagash sheyiru zeh zeh kegon. Okay. When two people are going into a city to collect, two gabay tzedakah, right? We learned that it's, if you're going in to start collecting by force, you have to have two of them. But whatever the case is, you have two gabay tzedakah, they're going together. Once they're going together, they have to stay together. Again, they can split up for very little, but they have to basically be seen together, or they can see each other for the most part. That's not an issue. I'm sure you can have a few seconds here and there, but basically you have to be seen for the most part together at all times. So therefore, you could have one go by the entrance to the city, or someone goes inside the store to collect, but they're basically there together. Why? It's just so that they can be more or less seen together, so that people are not choshed that they're stealing. One's going to do something inappropriate with it. He's going to take the money and put it in his own pocket and keep it. So that there's some kind of checks and balances, that there's people could see them, or they see each other maybe. Whatever it is, so that there's no, the point of this halacha is they're trying to avoid people suspecting them of stealing. Matzah gabay maot b'shuk lo yitnem l'toch kiso ala toch arna kishel tzedakah. If the gabay tzedakah, he's wearing his hat as a gabay tzedakah. Everyone knows he's a gabay tzedakah right now. So now he's going to collect, and now he's in the shuk. So he has two pockets, right, or two purses. One belongs to himself, and one is he's collecting for the tzibur. So therefore, when he picks it up, he has to put it in the purse of the tzedakah, not his own. Ukishiagia lebeita yitlam. And when he gets home and he's by himself and no one's watching, then he can take it out and give it to himself. Because even though he's a gabbai tzedakah, when he finds hefker money on the floor, he's allowed to keep it for himself. But if people see him doing that, people are going to start saying, look, he takes the money for himself. They might suspect, they might not even see him pick it up from the floor. They'll just see, they'll walk in, or, wherever the video starts playing, wherever they walk into the room, they'll see him at that point, and all they see is him taking the money and putting it in his own pocket. So we have to, it's very important that, again, this is an issue of chashad. We don't want people to think he's stealing money. This is not a gzera of maras ayin, where, I think it's obvious, but there's a halacha normally, but maras ayin, you have to, when the Chazal were gozer, a takana, a gzera, halacha, maras ayin, you have to be careful, even bechadrei chadarim. That's a totally different topic. We're not talking about a gzera of maras ayin. This is don't do a certain action mipnei chashad. People will be choshig. Haya gabay noshe bechavero mano paro b'shuk lo yitnam toch kiso elo toch arneki shel tzedakah. Now again, you're wearing the hat. Everyone knows you're the gabbai tzedakah, and you got a purse of tzedakah money, and someone owes you a mana, someone owes you an amount of money. And the guy sees you in the street, he goes, "Oh, I'm so glad I found you." And he says, "Here's your money. I owe you the money back." So if everyone thinks you're a gabbai tzedakah, when that guy pays you on the street, where do you put the money? Not in your pocket, but in the tzedakah pocket, so that people don't think that you're stealing from. Because people will know they're giving you a loan. They're going to think he's giving you tzedakah, and they see you putting in your pocket. So again, that's a problem. But when you get home, take it out of the purse of tzedakah and put it in yours. Just be very careful. You know how much money, you count exactly how much it is, so that you don't have a suffix. Because if you mix up and you don't know how much, then you have to give it to tzedakah so you don't steal. Now, again, it's a couple different explanations what this is. Don't count money two, except only one at a time. In other words, one explanation is if you're going to be counting, let's say, dollar bills, or coins, don't do two at a time. Two. Do one at a time. Or when you're counting, I don't know, if you're counting hundreds, just to count 100, don't say 50-50. Whatever it is, make it simple so that anyone watching and listening is not going to say, "Oh, look, he's counting funny because he's going to end up keeping one for himself, one for you, and then keep one for himself." I remember watching someone when they were counting, they would say, "One for you, one for me, two for you, 1, 2 for me, 3 for you, 1, 2, 3 for me," whatever, stump. But anyways, don't count in a way that'll lend itself to people thinking maybe you're gonna keep some for yourself or half. And again, all this is mipnei chashad. Make sure you count in a way that's very clear. Shneimar, as it says in Bamidbar, Lamed Beis, v'yitem nekim meHashem u'miyisrael. That sugya is talking about going to war, actually. But God, with the 2.5 shvatim on the other side, that they have to join. They have to join their brothers to fight the wars in Eretz Yisrael. Because if they're not doing their share, it's very important to live your life that you are clean and honorable in the eyes of Hashem and in the eyes of Yisrael. Right? Tiferes Lola and Adam. You have to live a way that's beautiful to people, society, and to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And so that's what this pasuk is teaching us.